The Kansas Jayhawks had dominated in their first 3 games of the NCAA tournament, scoring 90 or more in all 3 of those. But tonight, against the Oregon Ducks, their offense would implode, and they only scored 60 points, losing by 14 in the Elite Eight. The Oregon Ducks now move on to the Final Four, and they were led by Tyler Dorsey, who scored 27 points in the win for Oregon. And now Bill Self once again loses in the Elite Eight. He is now 2-5 at Kansas in Elite Eight games. And for the Jayhawks, it was Oregon being more aggressive. The K-State Wildcats will be dancing in Dayton in there tomorrow night, and they've made it to this point by the skin of their teeth. They were the last team picked into the NCAA tournament, and K-State head coach Bruce Weber says that won't serve as any extra motivation headed into tomorrow night, though. One day until the Texas A&M Aggies and K-State Wildcats play in the Texas Bowl here in Houston, Texas. And as we get ready in the Lone Star State, something to take a look at is on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. Big-time pass rushers, 2 of the best in the whole country, Myles Garrett for Texas A&M and Jordan Willis for K-State. Normally the preseason is a bit of a tease for real football, but that's not necessarily the case tonight. Against the 49ers, Chiefs fans can see the debut of rookie quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And when the team drafts a QB in the first round for the first time in 34 years, there's some reason to be excited about the debut. The Kansas Jayhawks are moving on after beating Purdue, and I'm not sure many people thought they would win in the fashion that they did. Going into the game, it was all the talk how Purdue is so tall, how they have a 7-footer coming off the bench. But the Kansas Jayhawks, after a slow start, would actually eventually out-rebound bowl game experiences about much more than just what goes on in between the hash marks at the bowl game on Wednesday. For instance, right now, the K-State Wildcats and the Texas A&M Aggies are competing in the 2016 Rodeo Bowl with all those festivities. And this morning was also a time for the players to kind of forget about practice, forget about the bowl game, and connect with the Houston community. The K-State Wildcats beat the Texas A&M Aggies by 5 in the Texas Bowl to complete the Snyder Slam. That's wins over Texas, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, and the Texas A&M Aggies. The Kansas City Chiefs are all moved in and ready for training camp, but a trio of wide receivers, they stayed in the area together. Chris Conley, Jeremy Maclin, and Albert Wilson, they all stayed in the Midwest to work out with each other to help get a leg up on the competition. The K-State Wildcats have taken their fans for quite a ride this season, looking like they were down and out now to playing some of their best basketball of this season, which has led to some fans taking quite the risk on the Wildcats in their brackets. No matter what happens here tonight, K-State senior guard Wesley Iwundu will go down as an all-time K-State great. And what makes that even more impressive is that he is the last remaining K-State player from his recruiting class. All the others left the team or were kicked off. The K-State Wildcats season ends with a lackluster 14-point loss to the Cincinnati Bearcats, and senior Wesley Iwundu, his career ends with a 19-point game in the loss, and it was big for the Wildcats. In the first half, he picked up 3 fouls, and they couldn't get going after that. Now the question is when. Mahomes, when asked when he would play in the preseason game, he said he wasn't sure. So we'll find out tonight at 8. Reporting live from Arrowhead Stadium, Chris Lilly, 13 Sports. The state of Kansas is the birthplace of basketball, so it only seems fitting to have all 3 Division I schools in the NCAA tournament: Kansas, K-State, and Wichita State. And for the K-State Wildcats, they have a sense of pride knowing they are back with the other 2. The K-State Wildcats hit the court against the Demon Deacons tonight. They will be going up against a former Kansas Jayhawk legend, Danny Manning, who helped lead the Jayhawks to the national championship in 1988. And K-State head coach Bruce Weber still remembers how good of a player Manning was. K-State beat Baylor in the regular season. The Wildcats then lost 5 out of their next 6 games, and it looked like they were on the verge of missing out on the NCAA tournament yet again. And on top of that, some K-State fans were calling for Bruce Weber's job. So the Wildcats, to get here to Dayton, had to be selfish and think about themselves and hoops. The Chiefs with the win at home to get to 4-2 on the season, and Kansas City's defense once again showing how tough they are, holding the New Orleans Saints' explosive offense to just 21 points. And the big play for the defense was in the first